Today we are going to start a new chapter, System of Particles and Rotational Motion. Chapter System of Particles and Rotational Motion. In the earlier chapters we primarily considered the motion of a single particle. Here in this chapter we are dealing with a system of particles. System of particles means an object consisting of infinite number of particles. For example, for such a system of particles is a rigid body. A rigid body is a body with definite and unchanging shape. The distance between all pairs of the particles of such a body do not change. So, such a body is called a rigid body having definite shape and definite and unchanging shape, and the distance between all the particles in the rigid body remains constant throughout. Okay, examples for rigid body: a stone, wheel, then top, a steel beam, etc. These are almost all solid body around us are considered as rigid body. Now we can see what are the different kind of motion that a rigid body can have. Okay, rigid body can have translational motion, it can have rotational motion, or it can have both rotational and translational motion. So we can see one by one. Now, rotational motion. If the body is moving about a fixed axis, every particle of the body moves in a circle which lies in a plane perpendicular to the axis and has its center on the axis is called rotational motion. So, rotational motion means if an object is rotating about a given axis, such a motion is called a rotational motion. Okay. For example, like this, consider a rigid body. This is a rigid body rotating about a given axis. So, this is a irregular rigid body rotating about a given axis. Consider the points P, P1, P2 and P3. P1 is a point on the rigid body which is at a distance r1 from the axis. Okay. So, if the object is rotating about the given axis, what happens to the particle? The particle is moving in the circular path. Since the object is rotating about the given axis, the particle P1 is moving in a circular path, and it moves in a circular path with its plane perpendicular to the axis. Here this is the axis, the particle is moving in a plane perpendicular to the axis. In a circular path it is moving in a plane perpendicular to the axis and has its center on the axis. Okay, center of the circular path lies on the axis. Here consider another particle P2 which is at a distance r2 from the axis. Again, if the object is rotating about the given axis, the particle P2 also moves in the circular path. Okay, so see the note. The figure shows rotational motion of a rigid body about a given axis. P1 be the particle of the body distance r1 from the axis. The particle P1 describes a circle of radius r1 with its center on the axis. The circle lies in a plane perpendicular to the axis. Okay, the circle lies in a plane perpendicular to the axis. Consider another particle P2 distance r2 from the axis. The particle P2 also moves in a circular path of radius r2 in a plane perpendicular to the axis. So, whenever the object rotates about the given axis, P1, P2 and all other particles moving in a circular path, and the circular path lies in a plane perpendicular to the axis. Clear? If you consider another particle P3, P3 is a particle on the axis. The particle remains stationary while the body rotates. So since the P3 is a point on the axis, as the object rotates about the given axis, the position of the particle P3 remains stationary. Okay. So for any particle P3 on the axis, the particle remains stationary while the object rotates. Clear, children? So this is a rotational motion. So rotational motion means if the body is rotating about a given axis, every particle of the body moves in a circular path which lies in a plane perpendicular to the axis and has its center on the axis. Now we are going to deal with another topic, center of mass. The point at which entire mass of a body is supposed to be concentrated is called center of mass. It is the point at which entire mass of a body is supposed to be concentrated. If you consider this scale, okay, so here we can concentrate the scale at the point. At this point, it can concentrate the scale. Okay, the total mass is supposed to be concentrated at this point, and hence this point is considered as the center of mass. So center of mass means the entire mass of the scale or entire mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated at a point, and hence that point is called the center of mass. Okay. Now, how will you find out the position of the center of mass? Consider a two particle system. We shall take the line joining the two particles to be the x-axis. So here this is a two particle system. Here this is the first particle of mass m1. This is the second particle of mass m2. It is lying on the x-axis. Okay, so consider this is a two particle system. We shall take the line joining the two particles to be the x-axis. The first particle is at a distance x1 from the origin. O represents the origin. The particle m1 is at a distance x1 from the origin. The particle m2 is at a distance x2 from the origin. And C represents the center of mass. Clear, children? Yes, C represents the center of mass, which is at a distance x from the origin. So once more, consider two particle system. M1 and M2 are the two masses, which is at a distance x1 and x2 from the origin. O represents the origin, and C is the center of mass, which is at a position x from the origin. So here let the distance of the two particles be x1 and x2 from the origin. Let m1 and m2 be the masses of the two particles. The center of mass of the system is C, which is at a distance x from the origin. Now the position of the center of mass can be written as the position of the center of mass. Position of center of mass. Since it is lying along the x-axis, we can write x equals, the formula is m1 x1 plus m2 x2 divided by m1 plus m2. So since there are two particles, the position of the center of mass is m1 x1 plus m2 x2 divided by m1 plus m2. Here m1 and m2 are the two masses which are at a distance x1 and x2 from the origin. So position of the center of mass along the x-axis is x equals m1 x1 plus m2 x2 divided by m1 plus m2. If it is lying along the y-axis, we can write m1 y1 plus m2 y2 divided by m1 plus m2. Okay. If the system consists of n number of particles. Here we have, for simplification, we have taken two particle system. For n particle system, the position of center of mass along the x-axis can be written as x equal to m1 x1 plus m2 x2 plus m3 x3. So how many particles are there? N number of particles. So etc. mn xn divided by m1 plus m2 plus m3 etc. mn. Okay, since there are n number of particles. So m1 x1 plus m2 x2 plus m3 x3 etc. mn xn divided by the sum of the masses m1 plus m2 plus m3 plus etc. mn. Similarly, if the particle is along the y-axis, we can write y equals m1 y1 plus m2 y2 plus etc. mn yn divided by m1 plus m2 plus etc. mn. Okay. Now, in 3 dimension, the position of the center of mass can be written as vector r. Vector r represents the position vector. Okay, position vector. In 3 dimension, we can write vector r equals m1r1 plus m2r2 plus etc. mn divided by m1 plus m2 plus etc. mn. If it is along the x-axis, here instead of r1 we can write if it is along the x-axis, we can write x is equal to m1 x1 plus m2 x2 plus etc. mn xn divided by m1 plus m2 plus etc. mn. If it is along the y-axis, similarly we can write. If it is in the 3 dimension, we can write m1r1 plus m2r2 plus etc. mnr1 divided by m1 plus m2 plus etc. mn. So it can also be written in terms of summation. R equals summation. This is also called sigma or summation. We can write What are changing values here? In the numerator, changing values are mass and the distance. So here we can write mr. Here m and r are varying, no? So varies from here we can write I equal to 1 to I is equal to n. Here we can write MIRI. Okay, so here mass and distance, the positions are varying. So here we can write summation. Summation means sigma. I equal to 1 to n MIRI. That means if it is 1, we can write M1R1 plus say 2 M2R2 plus if it is 3 M3R3. So M1R1 plus M2R2 plus etc. That is the meaning of this summation. Divided by, again we can put summation I is equal to 1 to n. Here in the denominator mass is varying, no? So mi. So here mi, in the denominator mi, summation mi represents m1 plus m2 plus etc. Okay, so here in 3 dimensions the position of the center of mass can also be represented in terms of the original form or in terms of summation form. Now we can do a numerical relating center of mass. In the HCl molecule, the separation between the nuclei of the 2 atoms is about 1.27 angstrom. 1 angstrom is 10 raised to minus 10 meter. Find the approximate location of center of mass of the molecule. Mass of chlorine is 35.5 times mass of hydrogen atom. So this is the mass of hydrogen atom. Here chlorine atom. Okay. And here this is the center of mass, and center of mass act as the origin. Okay, center of mass and origin are same. Here from the center of mass and origin, let hydrogen is at a distance x, and the distance between hydrogen and chlorine is, what is the distance? 1.27 angstrom. Here this distance is 1.27 angstrom. So what is the remaining distance? Distance between center of mass and chlorine is, we can write 1.27 minus x. Okay, so hydrogen HCl molecule, origin and center of mass are same. For example, here from the center of mass and origin, hydrogen is at a distance x and the chlorine is at a distance 1.27 minus x. Now we know the position of the center of mass is given by, what is the position? m1 x1 plus m2 x2 divided by m1 plus m2 is equal to, here first atom is hydrogen, second one is chlorine, we can write. So mass of hydrogen, what is the mass of hydrogen? We can write mh. Hydrogen is at a distance, what, x, isn't it? X. Plus second atom is chlorine. Mass of chlorine atom, it is given as 35.5 times the mass of hydrogen. And it is at a distance, what is the distance? 1.27 minus x divided by m1 plus m2 means mass of hydrogen plus 35.5 times mass of hydrogen. And it is equal to position of the center of mass. So in the first case, in the derivation we have taken position of the center of mass means from the origin to the center of mass, that is called the position of the center of mass. Here the origin and center of mass we have taken as same. So therefore what is the position of the center of mass? Both are equal, no? Therefore it is equal to 0 because center of mass and origin are taken same. So x is equal to 0. Now we can simplify. Here, since left hand side 0, if mh plus 35.5 mh into 0 cross multiply, that is equal to 0. Then in the numerator we can simplify mhx plus 35.5 mh into 1.27 minus x is equal to 0. Then here in the left hand side mh is there, no, but in the right side 0. So we can cancel that mh. So x plus 35.5 into 1.27 minus x, that can be multiplied as x plus 35.5 into 1.27 minus 35.5 into x is equal to 0. Clear? Now here x, here minus 35.5x. It can be simplified as minus 34.5x. So x can be written as 35.5 into 1.27 divided by 34.5. 0.5. And after simplification, you'll get the answer as 1.24 angstrom. Clear, children? So the position of the center of mass. So the question is, find out the approximate location of the center of mass, and the approximate location of the center of mass from the hydrogen atom is 1.24 angstrom.